Joel, we're going to talk about what does a day in the life look like for you now. So this is going to be really great. I'm super excited about this.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited to reconnect with you. This is
Yeah.
a lot to catch up on.
So last time for our listeners, we recorded maybe a year ago. I think the baby was a couple months old.
Uh-huh.
So right about a year ago. And we talked about what's it like inserting a new human being into your life, into your little family ecosystem while juggling a career where you get to work from home some, but then when you're home, like you kind of need to be working too, and you're on the road some and just navigating all the ups and downs with being a new parent. And here we are about a year later. Am I right with that math?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much almost
Yeah.
exactly a year later. Yeah.
So here we are a year later, and I'm super curious, what does a day in a life look like for Joel? So jump in.
Oh. Every day is different. It's funny, raising a kid, you realize all the things a kid needs are the same things that like we need as adults. All you hear is like routine and things like that, and having consistency and all of that. And then you're like, oh, well, I need that too. I would like a consistent bedtime. I would like just all the things that a kid needs. It's like, oh, we need as adults. So it's been really interesting of trying to raise myself while raising a new baby. It's very interesting, but every day is still its own little blessing. That's what I say. They're little blessings. But I'm so grateful to have a like a supportive family that's not far. Like my mom doesn't live that far. My in-laws will come and visit. So we're very fortunate in the fact that we do have accessible help because I have friends who don't have that. And, the alternative is daycare and things like that. And that's something we're trying to avoid. So it's basically dad care, is what it has been. Fortunately, my wife works from home pretty much every day. So we're very fortunate in that sense of getting to, if I need a break or whatnot, she can step in, and her schedule's flexible and things like that. And my schedule's flexible. Being a comedian, most of my work is at night or on the weekends. So I don't know. You ask what a day in the life looks like. I mean, it's up early and then some sort of food, and then usually like a walk of some kind, and then maybe a nap in there, and then playing, and then crying, which is me. That's me. I'm the one that's doing the crying. But we've been reading a lot of books. We're really intentional about minimizing any sort of screen time, and also I always turn off the noisy toys. I don't think we've bought any noisy toys, but we have inherited some. So they always end up being off when I'm around. Somehow the buttons don't work anymore. I don't know. So I mean, I really try to every day be present and understand that even in the highs and lows, these are all moments that one day I will miss and wish that I had access to. So it's such a challenge. It's so hard.
Well,
Uh,
let me jump in here because you've given me so much good material to go back to. So
okay, that was a delusional
earlier,
rant. Yes.
no, I love it. Well, this is what a day in the life is supposed to be like. It's not overly scripted, although we did exchange, where we want the direction of the conversation to go. But I want people to see relevancy. I want them to see, okay, they're just like me, or we're experiencing similar things. So we're in this together kind of mentality. Kids need the same thing that adults need.
Uh-huh.
And I think that is a great reminder for all of us. We really do function better when there's routine, structure, predictability. There's safety in predictability. There's safety when your spouse, significant other, those people that are present in your life, when their behaviors are predictable. I do a
Hmm.
lot of research and sharing out about the importance of co-regulation and monitoring your tone and children observing how you show up and handle situations teaches them how they can then replicate those behaviors. And so what you said in and of that, we could talk for hours about that. So let's just focus in a little more clearly on what has changed in the past year in regard to structure, routine, predictability in a positive way? How has that
Hmm.
gotten easier? And then as she has grown and has more independence and kind of a little mind of her own now, how has that been a little more difficult with the structure, the routine? So let's talk about those.
Yeah, yeah. And it is interesting how sometimes I'll notice when I'm maybe a little edgier, a little grumpier, then that she will mirror that as well. So it's very interesting of if it's a more calm morning, that's usually because I'm more calm, which is frustrating in some ways that you feeling it's you're in control of that. But yeah, in terms of the routine and like the positives and negatives, I mean, early on it was like we'll just get her to bed when we can get to bed, or we'll get her to sleep. We'll figure it out. We'll do a bath when we get to it or whatnot. It was a lot of just whenever it happens, but you have to be like intentional and structured about it. And, and we have family members who at like 6 o'clock, they're getting ready for bed no matter what's happening. They could be in the middle of dinner, but they're going to bed, or they could be visiting family. But if it's like that 6 o'clock, then it's time to go to bed and all that. So, I mean, everyone has their own different approach and how like rigorous they are in the routine. But we have like honed it in to the point to where we do have basically a time we will start getting her ready for bed. And then she'll just wake up. There's no I they say paying for your raisins. My mom reminds me daily that I used to just wake up sprinting, and I was just 100% from the moment I wake up. And that is certainly my daughter as well. So there's just interesting things coming out from both my wife and I that we see in our daughter, which is very interesting. But I think the positive from the routine is that it has helped us to get more on our own routine and our own schedule as well. We're not we're not staying up late watching TV anymore. Um, those days are all gone. Sometimes we'll sneak in a little American Idol if we're feeling bad. We're feeling a little naughty. We'll sneak in a little American Idol after the baby sleeps. But I think the biggest positive, it's something that we can do together. I think that's been the biggest thing, is it's something that's brought us closer together. It's forced a new level of communication as well, that it's not only just about us and what our preferences are, but it's about what's best for our daughter in the long term and thinking more long term. But also, with that being said, I mean the negative, and it feels weird to say that it's a negative, but like I can't be selfish anymore. So it's like, yeah, I can't stay out late. It's like if I go do a show, I need to get back. It's not like I can just stay out till, I mean, I was never out late or being crazy or whatever, but it's like after my set, it's kind of like, all right, I gotta go back home, or I'm not going out and is doing many shows during the week just to be home and to help out and to be a part of that routine. Like I said, there's moments of remembering, no matter how frustrating or hard it is at the moment, it is something I'm gonna miss. So it's like if I stay home to do bath time, it's just, I'll wish that I was able to do bath time in just a few years. I wish that was still part of our routine and not just something my daughter does. So there's all those little moments I try to remember. But really the biggest thing has been, I mean, maybe it comes back to growing up and just having to be an adult and realize that whatever discomfort you feel now is better for the long term. But there was a big adjustment with, I'm an adult and I can do whatever I want. But I mean, there are parents that do that, but I guess to be a good parent, to be a present parent, you do have to a lot of times put your own kind of selfishness to the side and realize what's best for others, which it may come easier for others than me, but it's something I'm still working on and still growing from. But you're so used to something. I think in our first interview, I mentioned I felt like I had a concussion and I was just
You
like all
did.
discombobulated. So I still feel that way. It's like more like whiplash now, but I
Okay.
think it's just the new normal. But yeah, I think it's easy to get online and see the perfect version of parenting or whatnot, but then the reality is just I think the more you can accept the imperfect, just the more you will like enjoy it as well and not try to make it a certain thing. But she's 17 months old, so I'm still learning. We're still figuring out a good routine and what's the best thing, but it's gotten better over the time for sure.
Absolutely. Well, you look great. You sound great.
Oh,
You
thank
don't
you.
sound like you're concussed or anything like
Thank
that.
you. Thank you.
So let's talk about selfishness. Okay, so I'm going to
Okay.
frame this as young children and some adults, but young children are very egocentric, right? It's me, like what can I take from the world, you know? And so she is at the prime time of being independent and exploring and discovering and coming into her own identity and thinking and how she interacts with the world around her, right? And which I think is super exciting and fascinating to watch unfold, right? What have you noticed about her little personality that's similar to yours as she is growing into this independence and mobility? How is she like you?
Hmm.
Or maybe different, but I suspect she's similar to little Joel a lot.
Yeah, she's very funny. It's interesting to see the personality start to come out more and more. Really, every day. It's pretty wild just to see it. And like when family will come to visit and they were here like a month ago and they're like, oh my gosh, she's completely different. So she's very funny. She does have a good sense of humor. It was interesting. We went to visit my in-laws a few weeks ago and my mother-in-law said, she's perfectly happy when she gets whatever she wants. So that which maybe could be a reflection of me as well. She is at a point now of like you said, finding that boundary. So she will like shake her head at you, or she will say like no. She can kind of say a few words. So she is uh pushing back in certain ways that she didn't before, and I guess just kind of testing where the limit is on her doing that. So that's been interesting. She always tries to touch outlets, basically anything. She could have a room full of toys, but she's gonna go to the outlet or to the cord or, to whatever is the least safe option in the room. She's gonna automatically go there, which maybe I did that growing up. I was a bit of a rebellious kid, so maybe she got that from me. But she'll also, like, if there's a leaf on the floor, she'll like pick it up and want to throw it away. So she's very like detail oriented. If sometimes my shoes aren't sitting right, she'll point out that they're not both sitting flat on the floor. So she's very particular in that way, which I think she got more from my wife and like kind of organized and tidy in that sense. But I think the biggest thing she got from me is definitely one, she wakes up and then goes 100 miles an hour until she falls asleep. And then she is very funny and she does get FOMO as well. She always likes to know what's happening. She always likes to know what's going on in the other room. She likes to be aware of everything, and I think that's how I was as a kid as well.
Mhm. So speaking of FOMO, how does she handle when you need to work? Like right now, you're working, right? You're on, the door's
Hmm.
closed. It'd be great if she'd bust in the door any minute, but that would be really fun. So what does she do when dad is needing to work, and how do you manage that if your wife is needing to also work at the same time?
Yeah, so fortunately, my mom is here right now, and she's been a savior. Usually, my wife will go in the office on Tuesdays, most Tuesdays, not every time, but that's the only time she has to go in. So, fortunately, my mom has been able to come over most Tuesdays, especially more lately. So that's been just a saving grace. But otherwise, fortunately, you know, as a comedian, I kind of set my own schedule anyway. Um, so it's not most of the time, there's rarely something where it's like, oh my gosh, I have to do this right now, or the shareholders are gonna vote me out of the board or whatever. None of that's happening. So fortunately, the stakes are pretty low, and most of my work is like more admin. I've outsourced a lot of it anyway. I've like just kind of hired someone to help manage, especially like the marketing side of things and stuff like that. So I can just focus and be present and not have to worry about any of that. But I mean, I don't even like her to see me on my phone. I'm really just very intentional about her not getting screen time and then also me not being on my phone in front of her and things like that. And my wife as well. We both try to be good about that, which that's a challenge within itself. But I really, 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 really try to be as present as possible and just to be there with her and not be working. But I mean, of course, if my wife is home, then she can step in for a few minutes, or if something needs to happen, I can be on the phone or whatnot for a little bit. But overall, there's not much work getting done during the days. But it was really interesting. I traveled the least I've ever traveled last year and had my best year yet. So there was something very interesting about that reality of like, oh, I'm traveling less and I'm making more. Interesting.
I love that. And I'm glad you brought that
Yeah.
up because I wanted to go there. How
Hmm.
has this previous year changed your work, the material, the need to travel or the need to pull back? So thank you. Keep going, keep going. Because I've been following you and you've picked up some more local, like on
Hmm.
Fridays, some more local work, which is fantastic. Tell me
Yeah.
more about that.
Yeah, I'm producing. I will go on the road if it's like worth it. I've said no to more things than I've ever said no to. But mostly I'm like producing stuff locally. I want to do stuff I can drive within driving distance and I can be home that night. So I'm producing my own events. Like I produce a monthly show at a theater here at the Sandy Springs Performing Arts Center. I produce private events for like country clubs, and I'll also do like corporate parties, like holiday parties, but then also if they have like an anniversary celebration or things like that, they're celebrating a milestone, I'll perform at those. I've really kind of positioned myself for those types of events in terms of like my website and things like that. So when people search for like a comic for a corporate event or whatever, I'm the first thing that'll come up.
Mm,
So I've really worked hard at that side of things of building up my local reputation, and it's been working. So,
working. I
it's
love
kind of
it.
hard to ignore the data of it that I could early on I was in my head about not working as much and having a bit of identity, not crisis, but it was like a struggle of like sitting here with this kid, but what am I actually doing? And then, my wife reminds me how much I'm saving us not having daycare. So, um,
So
so
there's
that
that.
helps too. I was like, oh, I guess I am making money sitting here. And I teach like online classes like for comedy and things like that as well. So all things that I can do from home is the big goal now. So it's um it's it's only helped really as difficult that it's been, and as like much of an identity kind of back and forth I've gone through, it's only helped me to prioritize and work smarter and really surround myself with one of my favorite phrases right now is proximity is power, and I've been surrounding myself with higher achieving comedians, people like maybe I aspire to be at a certain level, and that's really helped me to raise my own kind of a business as well. So there's a few factors at play of Cramon's opportunities, but then also actively seeking out people to help raise my expectations and to raise the level of my opportunities. So it's been working
Okay.
though.
Proximity is power. Is that what you
Mm-hmm.
said?
Yeah, yeah.
I really like that. And so I'm making a connection in my head right now about your daughter and the
Hmm.
proximity of the people that are influencing her life, the intentional decisions that you and your wife are making. And I think sometimes with newer parents, we may miss the fact that while it's really cute and fun to be doing these behaviors or allowing these behaviors at this point, show me the five people you hang around most, and I'll show you your future, right?
Uh-huh.
Similar to the proximity is power. And so it does sound like you are working really, really well, tirelessly well, to make sure that your daughter's future long term, like how you want her to show up in the world, how you want her to be present, how you want her to have a healthy respect for technology. You and your wife are doing that right now. Like you're
Hmm.
living it every day. It's not all of a sudden going to happen when she starts kindergarten or third grade that we're going to introduce these thou shalt nots. Like you're
Right.
just living it right
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I applaud you for that because I felt like I was slipping on a banana peel for most of my son's first couple of years. Like I had the head knowledge, but I didn't have the practical knowledge. Like I
Hmm.
knew child development, but I didn't know how to show up to cultivate that development. I was just in the moment. So you're doing a fantastic job.
Oh, thank you.
Let's and humor is the best medicine. So if you can't laugh,
Hmm.
you cry sometimes, right? In the midst of it.
Uh-huh.
We haven't used the word seasons, but I think it's appropriate here. There are different seasons in your adult life, in your marriage, in your career, and then now in raising a young child. There's different seasons. So the structure and routine at the very beginning, you're just kind of figuring it out and hoping that your baby's not too slippery when you're trying to give them a bath, like
Uh-huh.
that's your main focus, like don't drop the baby, and now it's more like, don't put the electrical cord in your mouth, right? Because they're exploring new things. So as we move into the next season, what do you think the next season's going to look like in your life? What's a day in the life going to look like in the next year or so? What do you think?
It's gonna be loud.
Yeah.
I mean, as soon as she started walking, it was just like a whole other level. So I'm sure as she gets better at that and starts running and sprinting and gets stronger and can pick up more things and can reach more things, but I would like to also think that I will be better as well. Because it's so frustrating how it comes back on you in a lot of ways. Like you said, the child reflects your temperament, your mood. It's like the better version of myself I am, then it's like the better like of a parent I can be, and like the better my child like mirrors that and reflects that. So it's that's encouraging in one sense that it's like, oh, in a year I'll be even a better version of myself and I'll be healthy and I will have even more financial stability and all of these great things. And it's also like, oh, well, that's up to me to do all that. So it's not a negative thing. It's just, I guess it's just being an adult, you know? And I think having a child really is a reality check on where you are at as an adult and how effective you are not only at raising a child, but also like raising yourself. It's, not having the extra cookie, going to bed at a reasonable time, all these things you want your child to do, you have to do. And it's great in one sense, but it's also in the other sense of like, but I don't wanna. I don't wanna. But I do think in a year time, I would like for the like a routine to be set. We're still honing that in a sense, but a more like steady routine. We still have intentional family time. We're doing more family activities together. And right now we're home a lot and we'll like walk around the neighborhood a lot during the day, but maybe in a year there's more outings to the park or things like that. But overall, I'm sure we'll still just be surviving and thinking, oh, okay, well, look how far we've come from last year. We'll get there eventually. And I think it's just so valuable and important to not focus on what other people are doing or focusing on like on social media. I mean, clearly the work you're doing is important and people should pay attention to that, but not just the perfect version of a parent you may see on social media. And I think it helps just to realize we're all figuring it out. And some days are better than others, but the fact that we keep trying and caring and trying to lead by example is really the best. I feel like the best thing we can do. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, absolutely. I think you just encapsulated the whole essence of the conversation. We're all trying, we're all doing the best we can do. You know, we're showing up. We shouldn't demand perfection of others nor of ourselves. And to the point of the social media, we are putting out at Build a Brain social media just to raise awareness of, here's how a child develops, here's how we need to show up as the adult figures in their life. There's no one way or perfect way to do it. Pick one thing and try it out and apply it as opposed to that information overload that you can get from the doom scrolling. So,
Yeah.
Joel, thank you so much for letting me have a little insight into a day in the life with Joel Byars.
Of
I wish
course.
you much success, continued success
Yeah.
with your career, with your business, with your family life. I'm just so happy to be here with you, proud of you personally and
Oh, thank
professionally.
you.
And I look forward to
Yeah.
continuing to watch you and your family grow. Y'all are awesome people. So thank you for setting a great example for others.
Of course. What is your closing advice for me?
No other advice for you. I feel like I've already given it. Just be your authentic self. Love
Okay.
well.